Okay, Rabbi Sai. Welcome to another Tuesday night. Shiur Torah. Okay, the truth is we already started. You don't have to be so proper Sunday. Everyone's Sunday so quiet and everything. You ask what's the topic about. I'm going to ask you, what do you want the topic to be about? Throw a curveball to me. Don't do that. Don't do this like suddenly everyone became tzniut overnight. What do you think? You came to learn Torah. What's talking to you? Like
the whole pilpul with the 6 hour wait between the milk and dairy. What's up with that?
This is not a curveball. You just a different sport, brother. You just did. Okay, so I'll tell you very briefly. The Gemara in Masechet Chulin brings down that it's halakha. The halakha says you have to wait between meal to meal.
But isn't that for health reasons?
Yeah, wait, listen, you have to wait between meal to meal. How many meals do we have a day? Three. Between meal to meal, how many hours is the wait?
2 hours.
6. You don't eat every 2 hours.
You
eat in the morning, like around 8. Then you eat around 1, 12. And then you eat at night, again, around 6, 7, no? Approximately 6 hours difference. So according to the Rambam, because most Mefashim say that you have to have the 6 hour wait. Why? Because meal to meal. What's a meal to meal? 6 hours. That's it. That's the halakha. Why meat and milk? Because it's health reasons. Meat digests much longer than milk. And again, it's not so simple. If you eat a certain dairy, you have to wait 3 hours. Some say 1 hour. If it's hard, not. Okay? But if we want to get into that, that's a separate thing. That's a halachic iyun, which I have no problem doing. Baruch Hashem, I got my smicha. I did it on most of Yoredei and Orach Chaim. So this stuff, no problem. We can open Shulchan Aruch, and we can open the Gemarot, and the Pesukim in the Torah, and we can battle it.
So do we just need to wait between meals or between 6
No.
hours?
We learn it from the fact that we wait through meals. What's the waiting of meal time?
Some people eat 4 meals,
I know, nowadays they eat 10 meals. Every 2 hours people are eating. The doctor said eat little, but eat consistently. So every 2 hours people have a meal. No. Halakha doesn't change. the halakha doesn't change. Whatever it is, that's what it is. And then we base on that and we can move forward. Okay. How about you? What's that watch called on your wrist? What's it called?
Rolex Presidential.
Presidential. No, what's on your head? Sorry, so quiet. Okay, fine. So I'm just gonna go. Okay. Parashat Toledot. Parashat Toledot. Yes, go.
My bad. How come after like this parsha and like the rest of the parashiyot after, it doesn't talk much about Avraham and like
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nhiya bidvaro.
Amen.
I have a better question. How come the Torah doesn't talk about Adam, only the first 3 aliyot? He lives 1,000 years, ya Habibi. We only have 3 aliyot, 3 paragraphs about him. That's also a good question. And the answer is very simple. I'll tell you what it is. The Torah is not a storybook. It's a book, it's a sefer, it's not even a book. The Torah is to come to teach us, is give us guidance, and to teach us how we have to live our life. Simple. Whatever was needed for us to know was written down. Not by Moshe, by Hashem Batzmo B'chodo told Moshe what to write down. The whole Tanakh is written by pure prophecy through God. We're not Muslim and we're not Christian. Books don't just appear out of the thin air for us and contradict other things. We're the first and we're the only. And everything else is of the Avodah Zarah, you're doing idol worship. Do you understand? Very simple. You understand? You understand the concept? Okay, let's get into this week's parasha. Okay. Chazak Baruch, Mazal Tov, Yitzchak gets married to Rivka. Very nice, no? He waited. He was an elderly man. He was 36. He waited also a couple of years later also until she matured. When the Torah says that you get married, a woman can get married in a young age. A father, the Gemara says, a father, okay. also brings it down. Whole set of notion that a father can sell his daughter when she's not bat mitzvah to marry her. That doesn't mean the man marries her and he's with her. Chas v'chalila. We're not reshayim, we're not wicked. That means they would be married, they would be betrothed, and she's not allowed to any other man until proper age, whatever the proper age is. You know, people come to me and say, oh, how can the Torah say a 12-year-old can get married? I said, you see how the 12-year-olds get dressed nowadays? They look like some of them look like they're 18, 19, 20. You're telling me a 12-year-old can't get married? Again, I'm not going to say a 12-year-old, they did the ma'aseh, they did the action of a marriage of consummation. I'm not going to say that, but I will say that marriage has nothing to do with that. Marriage is an intimate, intellectual thing. Of course, avada, it does have to do with that, but that's not the reason for it. Yitzchak Avinu didn't go marry Rivka because he wanted to be with her physically. That's not why they got married. Shtuyot. He married her because that was the right woman for him. Understand? I don't even know how we got into this topic, but okay. Rivka, of course, they waited, and Rivka was a proper age, and she got married. Of course, the avot in the Torah, they're not sickos. How Rabbi Victor Miller says, if we wouldn't have the Torah, if we wouldn't have the guidance of the Torah, we would be like still living in Egypt, smoking the nagila and playing backgammon, sheshbesh. That's what we would be doing all day. We wouldn't be any different. The fact that we have the guidance of the Torah and our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov, it gives us the understanding and the feeling how I have to come close to Allah Baruch Hu. If not, we'd be dogs. Simple. Okay, so let's get into this parasha. Very, 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 very interesting parasha. I'm not going to get into every detail. I'll tell you the detail that I want to get to. Everyone knows they couldn't have kids, and Hashem gave them twins, and they had Esav and Yaakov, and Rivka didn't understand. Her belly was always playing drums when she passed Avodah Zarah, and then when she passed the Yeshiva Shem Ve'ever. Everyone knows the Midrash, one's Tzaddik, one's Rasha, so on and so forth. Maybe I'll talk about in a different class, where's the Bechira? Where's the choice? If she already had the prophecy that her son is going to be a Rasha, where's the freedom of choice here? We're not going to talk about that today. That's just something to think about. And then, what I really want to get into is something amazing, an amazing part of the Torah. When I was just going through it now, and we see a repeat of the story of Avraham Avinu. Now we have to understand something. Yitzchak and Avraham Avinu were two different people. They were not the same. They only looked alike, but attitude-wise, they were different. Avraham was Isha Hesed, a man of kindness, a man of Orchim. Yitzchak was Isha Gvura. He was a man of fighting for what's right. He was a man of putting he was stubborn in his belief. Avraham Avinu's way of serving Hashem was a bit different than Yitzchak. Was he patronized for it? Was he insulted for it? Absolutely not. So one of the biggest mistakes in the chinuch nowadays, in raising kids, is we expect all the kids in the house to be structured the same way. No, Habibi. Yes, their schedules must be structured, but the way your kid acts is always different than his brother or than his sister. No? You have a kid that's more hyper, you have a kid that's more quiet. You're going to both tell them to do the same thing? No. One kid's more handy, one kid's more book smart. It's a problem by most people. Forget about Yehudim. I'm talking about in general. We think we have to program our children. We see by Avraham Avinu, he didn't do that. Even for between his other son, from his maidservant, from a slave, Yishmael, from a slave. I'm repeating it again. So the goyim that listen to this, they should know that Yishmael was a son of a slave. And Yitzchak was not the son of a slave. And he's considered the firstborn of Avraham Avinu. Because a child that comes out of a slave is not a firstborn. As it says in the Torah, Yechidcha, your only son. The Torah says it. That he raised them both differently. Ishmael was more aggressive. Yado Bakol. He was more less humane, more animalistic. And Yitzchak Avinu was more calm and more guided to the right way. And Avraham Avinu knew how to mechanech them each one to their own level. We have to understand that soon you guys are going to be parents, and whoever is parents, You have to understand this crucial part. If you don't raise your child to his specific needs, you're already handicapping him to think that he is who he's not. You have to help him and guide him to the right way. I saw an unbelievable podcast, not unbelievable. It was very, very shocking to me. I heard this podcast. I'm telling you, I was crying. I promised you. My friend sent it to me. I had no words. Now the podcast, I'm not saying it's doing good or bad, but they brought on the podcast, the Shem Yishmor V'Rachem. I have to say it because people should be aware of what's going on. Of a kid, Jewish boy, these kind of people. No, not cursing them. He has a nisayon, and he went to the yeshiva system and he lived, regular Jewish life. But he has an attraction to men. And he was saying that one of the things that got him for these kind of stuff is, this is exactly the point, when a person gets treated at home with such a dramatic understanding that you have to understand that every child is different in a sense. Not chas v'shalom. I'm not saying that if your child has such a test, you have to allow him to be that way. I never said that, and I never will say that. I'm saying a person has to work on his child and treat him, each one different to their needs. Shlomo says, you discipline the child to his own way. Each child deserves something different, a different method. No, you can't give it. Let's say you have a son who's allergic to chocolate. You come for a Shabbos, right? And the father comes home. He's going to give every child chocolate on the Shabbos table. No, why? He knows that son's allergic to chocolate. He's going to give him chocolate. He's going to eat the chocolate. He's going to die. So what is he getting? A different kind of sweet candy. Same thing. Just imagine for a second your child's allergic to a certain system. He doesn't learn when you're like this. He doesn't learn when it's too aggressive. He doesn't learn when he's too forced. Some kids are the exact opposite. Forcefully, they learn everything. And this is something you should think. And you should think, and this is also very important for shidduchim. When someone wants to get married, his eyes went up. When someone wants to get married, he has to understand that if you're not going to know how to, what does it mean? I don't feel a click. I went out with her one time, Rabbi. Okay, I'll do it a second time. I still don't feel it. You know why? Because maybe you're treating her or you're trying to connect with her in a way that she doesn't connect. Maybe when you talk about your success or when you talk about certain things, she doesn't care about it. The plug is not there, no?
She doesn't care about it. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, she should care about it, but for her, that's not important. Maybe for her, important is your yirat shamayim, or your goals in life, and how you want to improve. Or maybe there is not much nothing to connect. But a person has to realize, I have to know how I'm getting into this situation. I have to know how to handle the situation. No? That's the way it works. Okay. This is the part of the parasha I want to talk about. In the second aliyah, Yitzchak Avinu goes where? He goes to Gerar. Gerar is the place of Avimelech. Now, Avimelech had a story with who? Avram Avinu and Sarah. We spoke about this 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago, last week. What happened? Avimelech made a treaty with Avram Avinu that his kids and our kids will not be in war. We will be friendly, peacefully. Yitzchak Avinu goes to Gerar and they ask him, who is this? Who's this lady? Who is she? And she says, he says, this is my sister. This is my sister. So I have many questions on this week's parasha. Number one, they said that Yitzchak Avinu and Avraham Avinu looked, they looked like twins. Why? Hashem made a mess that people shouldn't think that Avimelech impregnated who? Sarah, and that's why she had a kid. Hashem made a miracle that Yitzchak Avinu looked like who? Avraham Avinu. Now, Avimelech knew the story of Yitzchak, of Avram Avinu very well. How come Yitzchak Avinu didn't just go and say, listen, I'm the son of Avram Avinu, and this is my wife? He should have said that. Easy peasy, would be done. They would leave him alone. No, he has a treaty. That's number one. First question. Second question, what does it say? That Avimelech saw Yitzchak Avinu being very flirtatious. Again, I'm not sure if I should say this on camera, but I'll say it anyway because it's written in Torah. He was very flirtatious with his wife Rivka. And to be flirtatious with your sister, ya habibi. I don't know if Alabama was didn't exist back in the day, but we don't do stuff like that. We don't live with our sisters. How is he so flirtatious with his wife, with his sister? Doesn't make sense. So these are the two questions I really wanna delve into today. I don't have so much time. I told you I have a very important meeting, but as much as I can say, I will say. You see, Yitzchak Avinu taught us the most crucial point about a goy, which is they can never be trusted, ever. You can never trust a goy. He can do treaties with you, with your grandfather, with your father, with your great-grandfather. But when he has a nogeya, when he wants something, he forgets about all treaties. Forgets about it automatically. Yitzchak Avinu knew if he's going to say right now to Avimelech's guards that he is Avram Avinu's son and this is his wife, they would kill him. I promise not to do anything wrong to your kids, but I can kill him. I can steal his wife, no problem. So that's number one. A person has to understand, and I heard an unbelievable story today. I have a Talmud that just got married, and a couple months back actually, maybe a month ago, and he told me that he used to work on 47. He doesn't work there anymore, Baruch Hashem. Not that 47 is a bad place, just not for him. And he used to work with this goy, a Turkish goy over there. And this Turkish goy and him were very close. They are very close, he said. But the Turkish guy sees him in a wedding. It wasn't his wedding. And he saw he was very drunk. Out of his brains, this Jew was drunk. And the guy was there. And the guy decided to take advantage. And he goes, listen, I like your hat. I like your jacket. Now, he said his hat, just his hat, his cap cost like $700. His coat cost like maybe $1,000. He was so drunk, he told the guy, here, you can have it. It's a gift from me to you. And the guy knows he's drunk. Yeah, Habibi, what are you doing? He said, I wake up the next day, I find out that this guy has it. He calls the guy, he says, I need my stuff back. He said, no, you gave it to me. He said, yeah, Habibi, I was drunk. He said, no, you gave it to me, I don't care. That's a guy. That's a guy. A Yehudi wouldn't have the guts even to take it away from him. He would take it and say, no, I'm just joking. Put it back on his head. Why? How can you take advantage of such a person? Hafla v'pele. Yehudim are going into business with goyim and then later they're realizing, now I'm not telling you there's not good goyim, there are. But how might you say, goy tov, goy met. I'm not going to translate. I'm a vinyavin. Anything to get you, they'll get you. Why? Because they don't live on the guidelines of the Torah Kedusha. They don't live by it. They live on their own guidelines. That's why they believe in things that allow them to believe on their own prerogative, not on things that are on a higher level, higher understanding. What did Yitzchak Avinu do right after? He made a treaty again with Avimelech, and the first thing that he did was when Yitzchak Avinu left Avimelech's property, he decided to travel in the path that his father traveled. Why? Avraham Avinu was such a ish chesed, such a kind person. He dug many wells. Why? He said people are going to travel and they're going to be very thirsty and they're going to have nothing to drink. So I'm going to have a well, I'm going to put a sign, don't forget to thank God. And like this, they're also going to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu that there's water. And what did the Pilishtim do? Anytime there was a well, they took dirt and they covered the well. And Yitzchak Avinu, for every well that his father dug, he made sure to dug it out, to take out all the dirt. So here we see a man that's an ish chesed. Imagine Yitzchak Avinu would also be a man of chesed. What would he do? He wouldn't, as a kind person, say, listen, it's okay, they dug it, it's fine, let's move on in life. Yitzchak Avinu needed to be gvura, he needed to be a man of strength. He needs to be a person of stubbornness, to say, they dug it, I'm going to undo it. My father did it, I'm going to believe on what my father did. And he undug every single well. In this week's parasha, it says what? Vayizra Yitzchak ba'aretz v'yimsa b'shnayim mea shayim vayivarcheu Adonai. This is the pasuk of being rich. This is the pasuk you read when you want to be rich. You read it you say it 17 times after Avdalah. You say it in Shema Koleinu. Yitzchak was an abundant wealthy. He was extremely wealthy, more than his father. Why? Because he took his midat of gvura, he took his midat of strength, and he used it for the right things. Now I want to touch on another point, which I think is very crucial. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time to do all of it. Excuse me. We see at this week's parasha that Yitzchak Avinu goes to his son Esav and he says, listen, Esav John, make me a meal. Why? Rashi says it was Pesach. Plus he wanted to bless him. So Esav goes, he prepares a meal. By the time he comes, Yaakov Avinu already went in. He stole the blessings and he left. Now listen to what I'm about to tell you. And with this, we're gonna get into the part that I really wanted to get into today. Esav, when he found out that his brother took the blessings, how do we know that he didn't steal it? In this week's parasha, any goy that's gonna ask, oh, you see, he stole it. No. Esav, what does he say? He tricked me again. What does that mean? That it was his fault. It was Esav's fault. When someone says he tricked me, that means he fell in a trap that he made himself. Yaakov Avinu didn't steal anything. He was already the Bechor. He was the firstborn. He had to take it. What happens automatically? Esav starts to cry. And Midrashim say that since 2 drops of tears came out of his eyes, one was for the first Beit HaMikdash, and one was for the second Beit HaMikdash. Not he was crying for them. The fact that he cried, it made it that in the future, that they're going to be destroyed.
Why?
I'm going to explain. You see, the Gemara says, when you want to get married, if you look at the Kala's eyes, and they're beautiful, whatever that means, they're pleasant, marry her. And if the eyes are not, I'm not saying not to marry her, but to do bdikot, check on her. What is this eye situation? What's going on here? You see, Esav took 2 months of the year. There are 12 months of the year. He took 2. Which 2 months did he take? Do you know? Av. And what's before Av? Tammuz. He took, in English, July and August time. Those are the months of the eyes. those are the months of what? The destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. A person has to understand when your eyes are satisfied, when you have eyes that are holy, you reach levels of spirituality that are tremendous. I was hearing a shiur, a rabbi was talking, and he said, how come sometimes you see speakers, they'll speak, and suddenly, after a year or two, you don't see them anymore. They fall off the derech. It's easy to be a speaker. Very easy. Very, honestly. You prepare something, if you're a good talker, you're dramatic, you can speak. You know what's hard? What's hard is to live what you speak. To live what you preach. We're in a generation of Torah, but no Tahara. Of learning Torah, but no purification for the Torah. People told me, I spoke to one Litvish guy one time, he was telling me the importance of learning Torah, and if you learn Torah, it's like you go to the mikvah, because the same way how the Torah makes you holy, that the mikvah, if same way how the Torah makes you holy, the mikvah is also. So why should I waste my time in the mikvah? I should just learn Torah all day. And I heard, I said, wow, very nice, interesting. And then I took out a sefer. By who? The Stipler. The Stipler is Rav Chaim Kanievsky's father. The Stipler writes down, and he has a 3-volume book of Shilot v'Tshuvot, questions and answers to young yeshiva guys. And you know what he writes? I remember reading this when I was in South Fallsburg in yeshiva, before I used to go to sleep. This was the book I used to read. I used to read the Shilot v'Tshuvot. I used to sit in my bed and I used to read. You know what he said? A person that learns Torah without tehara, without purification, his Torah is going to the chitzonim. His Torah is not complete. A person has to understand if he's not going to mitar his whole body, his whole goof, from the top to bottom. That means not just mikvah, but also shmirat ha'inayim, watching your eyes, shmirat ha'peh, not embarrassing or hurting or insulting people. To use a lashon nikiyah, a good tongue. To each to his own level, his own madrega. I'm going to say straightforward. I was criticized many times because in my classes I say it as it is, and sometimes I use foul language. Unfortunately, now it's much less, and if not, doesn't even exist. Why? Because the crowd you have, the crowd you get, it's the crowd you need to connect to. The crowd to get them, and once you have them, you make sure they never turn back. Make sure you never turn back. I have a student that called me. He said, Rabbi, I have a friend. I had a friend, and she's in a very bad position in her life. She's doing a lot of shtuyot. Goyim, goyot, everything. She's doing shtuyot. Can you take the case? I want you to help her. You know what I told him? I said, the rabbi that criticized me for doing what I'm doing, give him the case. I want to see how he's going to do it. It's easy to be on a castle, to sit well, and to criticize other people for jobs that you're not doing. It's very easy. Mamash, easy of the easy. What's hard is to go down and say, Kol hakavod, I respect what you do. That's called having good eyes. Having good eyes. A person has to understand with your inayim, with your shmirat inayim, just one time, you walk on the street, you go on the train, you go on the bus, you're in class, wherever it is you'll be, if you control your eyes, just one time, you just put yourself in the highest level in the eyes of Kodesh Baruch Hu. She's beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, the whole 9 yards, you want to get her attention. You control yourself for that second, you're in the highest level. And that's why Esav cried. He said, I'm not winning, I'm going to use my eyes. I'm going to make sure that whatever Yaakov took, I'm going to destroy it. The Midrash says that another tear was about to come down. If he would have one more tear come down, we wouldn't have the Beit HaMikdash HaShlishi. If it wasn't for the fact that Malach Gabriel came and held it, we wouldn't have had it. A person comes and says, Rabbi, it's hard. Of course it's hard. It's going to be easy. It's going to be such a reward. I'm not saying it's easy. You got to fight for it. You got to believe in it. Ta'ara b'kedusha. Even if it means you have to take off your glasses outside. I used to wear contacts. I'm not here to praise myself. Tell you fact. I stopped wearing contacts. Why? Because it's easier to do like this. Put it in your pocket and walk on the street. When you have contacts, what are you going to do? You go take out from your eyeball? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm not going to do anything. Nothing. I remember I wanted to do surgery on my eyes to fix it. And I sat down, I was speaking to my wife. My wife said, yeah, you should do it. I was like, you know what? At the end, I came to conclusion, I'm not going to do it. I was like, why? I said, I think it's better to be a little bit blind than see everything. She said, if that's your decision, that's your decision. It's more comfortable to walk without glasses, no? Plus, my unibrow would be shown more. You understand? I didn't do it. Why? Shmirat Einayim. There was a story. There was a man that was getting married. Bachor Yeshiva was getting married. And I really have to finish the show. I really have an appointment, but I'm going to say the story and then hopefully we're going to go right to it. There was a man that he was getting married, and 2.5 weeks before he got married, he got into a major car accident. And unfortunately, his face became kalyashka, as they say. Deformation. Became deformed a little bit. Okay. Became deformed. He didn't know what to do. Break the shidduch, not break the shidduch. He was scared out of his brain. Imagine going to a wedding, your face like this. Your nose is already over here, your eyes over here. Chas v'chalila, you know? He goes to a specialist doctor. The doctor said, listen, go to Germany. In Germany, there's an unbelievable doctor. He'll heal you. He said, I gotta do what I gotta do. I cannot. What is this? He went to Germany. He got to Germany now. He went into the practice. There's a lot of people there. Right before he was going into the doctor, to the hospital, to the room over there that he's going to be treated, it takes time. There was another Jew right next door. He looks at him, he says, what are you doing here? He said, what do you mean what I'm doing here? Look at my face. Why wouldn't I be here? This is where I belong. He said, listen, you got the conversation, I'm getting married in 2 weeks, I don't know. He said, listen, these procedures, ya habibi, mazeh, these procedures can take months. How you are doing it right away? You're not going to be done. He said, listen, I have an unbelievable itzah for you. Itzah. He said, what do you have to lose? Go back to Israel. Go to Rabbi Meir Abu Khatira, the Baba Salki son. He's going to help you. The guy said, listen, I'm already, what do I have to lose? He goes back to Israel, Eretz Israel, not Israel. We're not Zionists. He goes back to Eretz Israel, and he gets to Rabbi Meir Abu Khatira. He just walks into the room, the rabbi looks at him and says, Yelecha Mazal Tov, congratulations. The guy's looking at the rabbi like, I waited online for hours. Can I say what I came for? The Gabaim took him. The rabbi said, you can have a Mazal Tov, end of story. Get out. Get out. The guy had his wedding. Everything came back to normal. It's not a fake story. These are stories that happened. It happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. No, more, because Rameir passed away. Happened 35 years ago, 40 years ago. True story. What's the secret? The Abu Khatira family are known for their Shmirat Einayim. There are tunnels in Israel for that family that they walk on the ground just not to walk, just not to see people, not to see something immodest, not to see a girl, not to see a woman, a married woman. Eshet ish b'machshava. Eshet ish b'machshava.
It counts.
Of course it counts. I'm not going to give you bubble mice. I'm not going to be nice and say, oh, it doesn't count as long as you do that. No, ya habibi. B'machshava. Machshava, dibur, and maaseh. Your thought process must be super clean. Super clean. Super. No, Tevat Noach your brain has to be. Yeah. How are you going to feel, God forbid, your wife's thinking about another man? Alright, for you it's okay, right? For you it's fine. I can walk. I can say, whoa, she's so beautiful. She's married. Even if she's not married. But I'm saying, I'm going to such an extent, she's married. She's married.
It's not modest though.
That gives you the right?
If she's a modest,
That gives you the right?
Story though.
No, but that gives you the right if she's not modest. That gives you the right. That's give you the right. My Rebbe one time told me, I was laughing. He said sometimes my Rebbe, whatever. He told me one time. He said I saw an ad. I saw an ad one time in Yerushalayim how those really not that they're Orthodox, whatever. These other Jews that whenever they see something immodest, they take their hat, they go like this 6 times, and they go up. Oh, not They scream on all the street. They embarrass the girl. They embarrass themselves. Everything. They think it's a mitzvah. You know what my Rebbe once told me? Your eyes see what they want to see. The guy is doing like this and putting like this. You want to know why? Because his head is infatuated with garbage. When a person knows how to put his head down, respect everyone, understand there are people that are not there yet. They're going to get there. And they have to be told they're going to get there. But that's not the approach. You look down and you go weiter. Those are people that are working on themselves. That's the power of the eyes. That's the koach of the inayim. A person has to come to this realization, but she's not sneered. What does that mean? Ya habibi. Ya habibi, who cares if she's not tsanua? The question is, are we tsanua in our brain? It's not good just to have a beard and peot. Goats, also have peot.
There was a rabbi.
Also have peot, zakan, they have a long beard. Nice, too long. To work on ourselves. And Esav knew that. And that's why he used his eyes. He said, I'm going to get him down. But he didn't succeed at that. I'm going to take your question just 1 second. You know what? Ask it now.
No, there's a rabbi that came to my shul a few years ago. I was way younger. From Israel, he never opened his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people, I forgot, hold him. Because he doesn't open his eyes, so he doesn't see back there.
Mm-hmm. Shut, don't say names. Don't say names. I know who's talking about.
How is that rabbi?
No, I don't know his name, but I heard of a rabbi.
Why is the rabbi do that? Like you just said that if he opens his eyes, if he covers himself like this, because he has like those type of thoughts. But how is this rabbi same thing over here when he closes his eyes, but he says
Not serious,
rabbi?
Coach.
Huh?
Not serious.
Who's not serious?
That rabbi that you're talking about.
No?
I heard he's so serious.
Okay, stop. No lashon hara. Serious, not serious. I don't know. I don't know the stuff. I'm not a prophet. I don't know the son. I don't know none of this. What I do know, what I will tell you is, I'm going to be very as a Jew that grew up in a religious house in this community, which is very few in my age that came from an ultra orthodox. I'm not a Baal Tshuva, like a guy that was cracked out that came from a cracked out house and became religious overnight. I grew up like this. Yeah, I had my own downs, ups and downs, some bigger, some less. But I grew up like this. I grew up with tzaddikim walking in and out from our houses. From my father taking me to places of tzaddikim. And he always told me one thing. Nothing seems the way it is. A person has to always be cautious on who's righteous and who's not righteous. And the only way you're ever going to know that is when you have a Rebbe. When you have a Rebbe, he is your Kadosh Elyon Tzaddik Yisod Olam. Everyone else is secondary. Why? Because your Shefa, your Hatzlacha comes from this rabbi. That's a crucial problem we have in this generation. Tomorrow I'm going to come with a flying carpet, everyone's going to bow down to me. They're not going to know that it's really wheels and heat levitating me. They're not going to say that. He's on a carpet. He's weird. I like weird people. Nah, ya habibi. You know what's great? What's greatness? Greatness is a simple person in the outside, but in the inside, he's great. That's a great person. And Oived Hashem, someone that serves Hashem, does it without any limitations. Now, I'm not telling you people that close their eyes, this and that, they're most probably old tzaddikim. But don't turn into one of those. That's all I'm asking for. Don't turn into one of those. Don't walk in the street with your eyes closed and don't do it. Don't do it. If you feel you're in that level, consult with your Rebbe, and if he says to close your eyes, then close your eyes. But as who you are right now, don't do it. Again, you might think I would say the exact opposite. I will not say the exact opposite, because you have to be normal. Hashem doesn't want crazy people. He doesn't need cults. There are plenty of cults. Plenty of Jewish cults out there. He doesn't need cults. You know what he needs? Soldiers. A soldier is someone that can withstand any temperature. A soldier is a person that can withstand any situation he is in the world. And what? He'll succeed. And that's exactly who Yaakov Avinu was. You put him in any situation, he survived. And next week we're going to learn about that. He lived with Lavan. His brother wanted to kill him. His mother and father loved him. He was in every situation you can imagine. His kids switched his beds. His wife died. Tremendous. His daughter, Rahman Islam, got raped. He withstood every single situation in his life. You want to know why? Because he said, I'm devoting my life to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Pure. My life is going to be Torah and Tahara. Any man that doesn't go to the mikvah when he needs to go to the mikvah is doing an enormous pagam for himself. An enormous blemish for his neshama. Enormous. Now you can fight with me about it, I don't care. Because I've seen people, I've been around. I've seen people that went up in spirituality and they didn't do it in the right way, which is with Tahara. And I've seen people that did it with, and they're in two different worlds. One is an Oved Hashem, and one is just living in a tralalaika. He's living in a shadow that doesn't exist. How are you going to learn all day and not do what you're learning? Gadol ha'ma'aseh me'halimud. Greater is the action than the actual learning. Imagine you learn all your life how to be a doctor, all your life, and you never practice it. The most idiotic thing in the world to do. How? The point of Limud Torah is to get down to the core of the Shulchan Aruch, to understand, how do I serve God? If one thing you're going to go home with today is remember that your einayim, your eyes, is extremely valuable to your body. To the extent that the Gemara says that a person that's blind is a person that is dead. Wow. You're dead without your eyes. How does that make sense? I know people that are blind, that are functioning and working and living, and they have families and everything. They're not dead. They are. They are. Why? Because the power of the einayim is an enormous level. Enormous. You gotta tell me what you're laughing about this whole time. It's an enormous level. When you can control those eyes, you can control your mind. You can control your eyes, you can control your emotions. You can control those eyes. That means, doesn't mean if you see something wrong, that's it, you're fasting, you're killing yourself. You do tshuva and you go weiter in life. You work on yourself. You start to learn what it is to be numb to do a sin. You have to be numb. These sins don't mean nothing to me. You walk away. Walk away to what? Come closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Adonai Olam.